Hello, good evening. Welcome to tdcat.com. Today we are continuing with the previous video, which I'll post a link up to here, which looked at masking out someone's face or some objects or something like that in Premiere Pro. And in this video, we'll look at keyframing and moving the mask around as the subject or object that you're masking out shifts about the frame. So this is where we ended up last time. We had Rod stood here in the park in Bristol, and he had his face masked out. And we sort of said, well, okay, that's good, but look, obviously he moves here, doesn't he? This is no good. So we kind of need to keyframe this appropriately to shift this mask around. And we can do that so with the title 2 selected, which is where the circle is generated. We can shift that about so we can move that around the screen. But of course we need to keyframe that. So if we go to the start of this clip, we see at the start of this clip that it only needs to be quite small. So we'll place it over him at the start. We can probably reduce it in size at this point as well. And the first thing I'm going to do is put a keyframe in here on position and put a keyframe in on scale. So that's in the motion section under effects controls when your clip is selected. So we now have our starter sort of keyframes, if you like. And if you move, so you notice straight away there that he's moved right across. But just before I add the keyframes to sort of cater for that, I want to just sort of talk about keyframes very briefly. See, if we just sort of went here and added another keyframe to move it across, you have to remember that the keyframing would look at the whole time period between the first and the new ones, so in this case here, and just do a gradual movement across the screen. So you have to add them, well, add as many as you can really. It can be a bit of a time-consuming thing to do, but you only have to do it once and it works really well. So if you just add them at certain key points, so let's say we went to here, and before we did that first movement, we'd add 2 with the same scale and same position as our starting point, just to kind of lock them down and then move it on and then make the change. Because then what you'd get is static between the 0 time and the first keyframes, or should I say the second keyframes, you'd have it static and then it would just move within that short space of time, and that's probably what you'd want it to do. But as a general rule, if you're moving it as you're going through, just add quite a lot and you'll be okay. And if you do find that it's kind of drifted off, just move somewhere in between and add another keyframe in there and it'll probably work out okay. So I'll kind of do an example of that now and we'll see how it goes. But so we started there, and if I just use the cursors now to move on frame by frame, so he's moved across to here, so I'm just going to shift it over there, and you'll notice that first thing that happens is, if I zoom in on my keyframes here, there we go, I've got another position keyframe in now, and that now nicely tracks across with him, very nice. But he carries on going, so I'm going to add another one in. A little bit further over like that, and you can see already that it is quite a time-consuming thing to do, but you know, just sort of don't be impatient with it, because if you need to do it, you need to do it, because it's often for the privacy of somebody or privacy of your own details. Let's just move that across there. That one's all right, I think. So let's see, how does that track? That tracks all right. Very good. Yeah, it's really nice. So move, just scrolling on slowly, and that all looks good. Let's go a little bit, maybe go there. Oh, add another one. Doesn't matter if you drift off here to the left, it's only when you actually release it that that keyframe gets generated. We're now dropping down a little bit, that's okay. And I'm not going to do the whole thing here, by the way, because it will take a bit of time. But now, you see, now we've got a point where the scale has come up. But I haven't put in a keyframe, you see. I haven't put a keyframe in with the original scale. So if I added just the position of a new scale, it would then be slowly growing from start to here. Do you get what I mean? So what I want to do now is just add a keyframe just by itself. So just add it at this position where we are now. And then when I move here, I can maybe just increase the scale there a little bit, and then I'll move the position as well. And you'll see that as I move back, that's not very good, is it? See, we've got a big spot there missing. And just going to zoom in on the clip a little bit so I can sort of see what I'm doing. Yeah, see what I mean? We've got a point now where it drifts off. We might want to add another one in there. Okay, that's all right. The scale, do you see the scale increase there? And it just did it in that short space of time. And then we need another position 1. So what you kind of need to think of it, you need to sort of look at it and sort of say, right, okay, so where did the movement start? Well, it was there, and he started moving there. So let's go back to where it was, just there, and then add a position keyframe in. And let's just add a scale one for good measure. Just doing both each time. Then everything's kind of locked down then. And then move across and then say, right, okay, so he's moved to here. And, well, that's okay. So now we've just got a nice solid movement between there and there. And again, there he's moved again. So I'm now going to just put 2 more keyframes in. And he's moved back. And reduced in size quite a lot as well. But you know, how finicky you want to be is up to you. And there we are. So there we go. Hopefully you've got the idea of what I'm doing there. And you can track that across. So if we look back right across the clip now, hopefully he would be happy with that as blocking out his face. Now, there probably are different ways of doing this, and there may even be easier ways of doing this, but that's just one way of achieving the effect of masking somebody out in Premiere Pro. That's what we did in part 1. And secondly, keyframing it so you can shift that mask across the screen to follow the item that you're masking out. So hope that's helpful for you. And if you like what we do, please subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you soon. Bye.